How's it going, everyone? Welcome to my channel and thank you for checking out today's video. Today is going to be something more so geared towards the new players to Diablo 2 or people that are trying a new class for the very first time. More so people that are not generally going to watch a whole guided playthrough but just want to know kind of the ins and outs of certain particular skills. Granted, for a lot of my seasoned players, veteran players, or whatever the case is, there are going to be a lot of people that look at this and go, dude, these skills suck. These skills really have no use. They're simply just in the game for 1 to 2 levels of use. Whatever the case is, you may be right. And especially the people that are more so focused on just their endgame builds, yes, these skills are not going to be useful for you. But for a lot of people that are trying out a new class or the game in general, these could have a lot of good benefits for players, especially with just being able to survive normal, possibly even nightmare difficulty. So how this video is going to go? I'm going to bring up at least one skill per class to make it as fair for all different characters in the game, and these are going to be completely subjective to how I see them as far as usefulness in the game. For some people, they may see it as not a big deal, something they wouldn't particularly use. Again, that's perfectly fine. I've used many of these skills in my playthroughs, and they have really benefited me to the fullest when I did use them. Obviously, they can have a diminishing return where they may be useful at the very beginning, but over time, they kind of just fade away and something else may take its place. Before we get into the video, let's go ahead and do this week's comment shout out, and it's going to be Jim Bob's Arcade, who wanted to make sure to let me know how he truly feels about the rune word grief, as well as how new players typically feel about grief and enigma. With all of that said, let's go ahead and check out the different classes and the skills within them.
Not even death can save you from me.
Greetings, mortals. I knew you would find your way back here.
For the assassin, the skill is Psychic Hammer. For new players, this can be very helpful with keeping monsters at bay, much like how telekinesis with the Sorceress can be used for knockback aside from clicking objects. Psychic Hammer helps to knock back monsters away from your character, opening up the chance for you to escape what could be a very dangerous situation for your character, or in later gameplay, could be used for pinning a monster against something for your mercenary to help finish them off for whomever your character may struggle with. The damage is very small in the amounts for both physical and magical, but the fact that you can get this skill at level 1, has a low mana requirement, and helps keep monsters at bay could potentially help newer players with survivability getting through the early acts of normal difficulty. For the Druid, a skill that isn't as commonly used early on is Molten Boulder. This skill has more than one use when used, such as not only does it have the boulder create a path of fire that, if it travels far enough, can become a makeshift firewall such as what the Sorceress can make, but the boulder itself has different effects for the types of monsters it runs into. If the monster it runs into is small, it has a knockback effect, and depending on the direction it is knocked back in, as it is in accordance with where your character is standing comparatively speaking to the boulder, then it may run into the same monster over and over, potentially killing them just off of that. If the monster is large, such as larger than your character, it will explode and give collateral fire damage to nearby monsters for a brief time. With the low level requirement of 6, costing only 10 mana per use, and especially a very short cooldown of 2 seconds per casting, this is a very helpful skill that can help a new player either to the game or to the character with survivability, especially if using it on enemies behind you and then running in the opposite direction to get away. With the Paladin, a skill that seems to go very unnoticed for its fullest potential is Charge. When it comes to wanting to run across an area rather quickly, this skill helps with being able to get from point A to point B with ease, as you do not have to have a monster targeted to use this skill. However, if a monster ends up in front of you, once you charge them, you will deliver damage to them, making the skill more useful overall. Although this skill, if used continuously, could drain your mana quickly, if you are in need of a quick escape, or have mana potions at the ready and are trying to speed past certain areas of the game before you can use Vigor to get around faster, this is a very useful skill that becomes available at level 12, helping players get through normal difficulty much faster and easier overall. For the Amazon, there are 2 skills that seem to go underutilized when it comes to new players needing to both see enemies better and avoid a lot of damage from missile type attacks, and they are Inner Sight and Slow Missiles. For Inner Sight, this is a skill that could be very useful in getting through up to Act 3. This skill helps to eliminate your enemies, meaning easier to see, so you know where everyone is around you, while lowering their defenses so they can be easier to damage. For the darkened areas of the caves, or even the Forgotten Tower of Act 1, once the map goes dark before retrieving the Viper Amulet in Act 2, and going through the sewers and the Durance of Hate in Act 3, This skill could help bring to light where everyone else is, especially the dolls of Act 3 that could very easily and quickly swarm you. With slow missiles, this helps with ranged attacks, especially early on in game up through Act 3. Ranged attacks, such as arrows from dark archers and darts from the flails and dolls, are slowed down, meaning more time for your character to make the choice to stay and fight or be able to escape through running or using a town portal. With enough points put into the skill, the fear many would have when farming the Countess for runes or trying to navigate up to Lower Karas and avoid the packs of flares and especially gloams would be reduced significantly. With Inner Sight being available at level 1 and costing only 5 mana, and Slow Missile being available at level 12 with the same mana cost, these skills could help new players to the game or to the class navigate their way through normal difficulty and greatly help with their survivability. Now for the Barbarian, one very underutilized skill in normal difficulty that helps with survivability is Howl. This is a skill that helps to make monsters run from you for a brief period of time. Granted, the fewer the points, the less time and distance they run. It can still be incredibly useful if you get swarmed. The downside to this skill is, it does not work on champions, actor quest bosses, or the boss of a boss group. However, everyone else will run away even if it is for a few seconds. The ability for them to get away from your character long enough for you to single out an enemy to kill, or find your way out through either running or town portaling away can mean the difference in survivability. With a low cost of 4 mana per casting and being available at level 1, any Barbarian build, even ones that aren't singers specifically, would benefit from being able to use the skill for crowd control through normal and nightmare difficulty. The Sorceress has 2 great skills, one that is underutilized for helping survive in normal, and one that every Sorceress, regardless of the type of elemental damage you choose to use, should always have at the ready to kill bosses in seconds. The first skill being Blaze. This skill can be incredibly useful because it creates a trail of fire behind you to help burn anyone chasing you, as well as can be made into a specifically shaped firewall. Although the damage may be smaller with only a few, or even 1 point put into it, the effect of leaving a trail of fire when trying to escape and having the damage over a short period of time could help make a difference in your survivability. The second skill is Static Field. No Sorceress player should be without Static Field in normal, or even Nightmare difficulty, regardless if you choose to be a Lightning, Fire, or Cold Sorceress. Static Field will reduce an enemy's current health by 25% in normal, and if used enough, could reduce their health to only 1 point remaining with any attack able to finish them off. And this includes bosses, even Bale. This is one of the most broken skills in the game, and with enough points put into it, the size of the radius for which this skill could drop a monster's health down to could help you clear a dense area of monsters in no time at all. And the best part? This skill is available at level 6, with a mana cost of only 9, so for the amount of mana it would cost early, the effect it could have on your gameplay would more than pay for itself, especially against Duriel. These 2 skills could truly help any Sorceress player get the well-known Glass Cannon character through normal and record time with little to no trouble at all. Last but certainly not least, we have the skills underutilized for the Necromancer. Unlike any of the previous characters, there are 3 skills he has that more than benefit the player, especially if used all together. And for facing boss packs of monsters, or even act bosses, using these skills together makes for easy, painless kills. The first skill is Clay Golem. Although the skill requires 15 mana at its earliest use of level 6, it comes with the benefit that skeletons wouldn't have. It can be summoned anywhere instead of needing a defeated enemy to rise from. If using both the Hireling and Clay Golem, the ability for them to take damage for you and make the necessary decisions on your next move, especially using a class that isn't well known for doing melee damage, could mean the difference in advancing or escaping a dangerous situation instead of having to save and quit or possibly even die to try to retrieve your corpse. The second skill is Iron Maiden, which becomes available at level 12 and only costing 5 mana. This curse, when casted over a monster dealing physical damage that isn't ranged, reflects a certain percentage of the damage back to the attacker, and with enough hits, could make them eventually die of their own attacks. And this does work for flayers in Act 3 despite their attacks being ranged. If using the skill alongside Clay Golem and having enough mana potions at the ready, this could help make boss fights much easier and safer as the Clay Golem would run up to the attacker and take the damage for you, and could be resummoned until your mana runs out. This could lead to the easiest, although not the most exciting, Duriel kill you'll get, but as a means of surviving, this could be your best bet in tough situations. The third skill is Bone Prison. What's nice about this is, if you're able to trap either an act boss or a boss champion pack inside of your Bone Prison, the same effect could happen as with the Clay Golem. Granted, this skill becomes available at the latest level of any skill in this video at level 24, with a high mana cost of 27. The effectiveness isn't lost when trying to get through normal, or possibly nightmare difficulty. The only downside to using a Bone Prison is that once it is used, it indirectly counts as your character's light radius, thus monsters close to it could be aggroed to it for you to have to deal with. Overall, If you are able to learn to utilize these 3 skills together well, the chances of you surviving through normal or possibly nightmare difficulty could increase significantly, if only to just keep monsters away from you as you run through the more difficult areas for you to find waypoints and save exit to not lose progress. And that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and again, for the new players to either Diablo 2 or to a new class within the game, I hope you guys were able to learn something about each one of these particular skills and maybe are going to use them in the future to help you have a more joyful experience when it comes to playing Diablo 2, especially Diablo 2 Resurrected coming out September 23rd. If you enjoyed this content and want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video comes out. And if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a like and share it, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.